Hi guys, this will be a review for PRT13A balanced preamplifier that I got from AliExpress for $278 shipped. I know it's a very low price. The current price is between $440 and $500. I got it so cheaply because it was on sale, I used coupons, and I chose the version without tubes. So it was very cheap for me. Okay, first set of information. The description of the audio system that I've used for my listening sessions is in the description for the video. All the store links are in the description of the video. And now we may begin with my review. Okay, so I got this amplifier because of the photos I saw on the AliExpress offer. It was beautiful on the outside and it was also beautiful on the inside. It's supposed to be based on some acoustic research designs, but the sellers do not give any kind of details on that. It's a ZeroZone construction and based on the TPA-3255 monoblocks that I got earlier, I had quite a lot of expectations for this preamplifier. It was insanely cheap for me, so I decided to get it, even if for just the chassis, power and control alone. Also, this is the preamplifier that Gabster made 2 videos about. And the third video is missing in action right now. In the first video he said that it sounded so-so compared to his other preamplifiers. In the second video he said that after he replaced tubes with something better, it sounded actually quite nice. And there was supposed to be a third video after recap, but it's gone. I mean, I cannot find it anywhere. So maybe he hadn't done that video yet. Anyway, that was one of the reasons I chose the version without the tubes. Since he recommended to replace them anyway, there was no point in getting them, paying for them and just removing them. Okay, some specifications, very simple ones because there's not a lot of info you can get from the manufacturer. It's using R-core toroidal transformer. It's using 2 ICC82 tubes for voltage amplification stage and 2 6N11, also known as 6922 tubes that are used for output stage. I couldn't find any info on THD, on signal to noise ratio, etc. So these are the only things that I found. So let's move to the build. Let's start with the remote. I've placed it here, so I will not forget about it. Yes, this amplifier comes with a remote. It's a very simple one. It allows you to power on and off the device, to mute the output, to choose the input. We have 6 buttons here, but we can use only 1 to 4 because this preamplifier has only 4 inputs, and we can control the volume. It's actually quite nice. I mean, it's cheap and it's plastic, but let me show you, for example, remote for Gabster digital to analog converter. That was $1,700. Well, okay, getting back to this preamplifier. I don't know if you can see that. You should be able to see that in the video, but the chassis is just splendid. The finish on the top plate, on the front plate, on the sides is excellent. What do we have in the front? Power button. We have infrared receiver here. We have set of lights for indication of standby mode and chosen input. And we have volume control here and input selector here. It's not very intuitive because my obvious first reaction was that this one would be for selecting inputs and the external one for changing the volume. But it's not like that. It's not like that. Okay, so let's rotate it and take a look at the back. of the device. Yep. In the back we have two balanced inputs, two RCA single-ended inputs here, one single-ended output and one balanced output. All RCA inputs, the connectors are marked with CNC, but I'm not sure. Actually, I'm pretty sure they are not originals, but they look nice and they work fine. And we have power input socket with integrated fuse compartment, and as you can see, this one comes in two versions. You can order 250 volts version or 115 volts version. It also bears FCNC marks, but you know, anyone can print them. Oh, by the way, small digression. Many of you are asking me in the review comments about CE mark. I'm not sure if you are aware of the fact that CE mark is a pretty new thing. It's been introduced, I don't know, something like 20 years ago or something like that. And the funniest thing about that is that CE can be given to an equipment by the authorized laboratory or because of the manufacturer's declaration, which is highly advised and encouraged by the European Commission, meaning that I can produce anything back in my garage, and I can give CE mark based on the declaration as a manufacturer that the device fulfills all the requirements for CE. So yes, there is a CE, if that makes you happy. Okay, let's open that. As usual, the chassis is top quality. It's very thick. I'm pretty sure you can see it right now. It's 3 or 4 millimeters thick, so it's really nice. And let's take a look inside. Okay, one thing I should probably tell you at this moment, because there will be no better time later, is that the manufacturer says something pretty important about the single-ended inputs. So basically, this preamplifier is a fully balanced construction, and the manufacturer says that it will not convert single-ended input to balanced output. If you're using single-ended inputs, you'll be able to use only single-ended output. If you're using balanced inputs, you'll be able to use either single-ended or balanced outputs. That may be pretty important in some cases. Okay, so let's take my professional pointer and let's see what do we have inside. Let's start with this side of the equipment, of the device. Okay, we can see some nice Arco toroidal transformer. We can see that all the wiring looms are very nicely placed and routed along the device. All of them, I love that. We can see the board responsible for powering on the device. It allows the preamplifier to stay in standby and to be powered on remotely with the remote. We can see the power switch, it looks nice, and we can see the board with the controller for the indicators of the selected input, for IR receiver control and control of the relays, which are not visible right now, but we will rotate the preamplifier. That will choose the input. Also, we can see motorized Alps volume control, and this is balanced volume control. Let's zoom in for a second, and as you can see, the inputs for channels are balanced and the outputs for channels is also balanced. There is one thing worth mentioning here. Left output is pretty close to the power of the small engine for the potentiometer, and this causes some problems. To be precise, you can hear the small sound of motor whine in the left channel when the preamplifier is not playing any music, and you'll be changing the volume. If you change the volume without anything playing, you'll be able to clearly hear in the left channel that this one is working. Yeah, it's a small thing, but I'm picky about that. I was able to hear that. Also, on general note, I wouldn't recommend this preamplifier, to be used with highly sensitive power amplifiers, meaning the power amplifiers that have very highly sensitive inputs. Why? Because tubes have quite high noise floor, and you'll be able to hear slight hiss in the background when nothing is playing. I was testing this with Dartzil. Dartzil has a very sensitive inputs, and the hiss was hearable, but it wasn't very loud. It was actually quite low in volume, but when I put my ear to the speakers, I was able to hear it. So, getting back to the internal build, that's the main amplifier board. It's using, as I said, two 12AU7 called also ICC88 tubes, and it's using two 6922 tubes here. As I said, I got it without the tubes, so I've used some tubes from my collection. For 12AU7 I've used PS Vane Art S series that I hold in high regard, and especially for the reviewer for this preamplifier I bought some vintage Siemens 6977 tubes. So let's leave it like that. Okay, we have a large number of MKP capacitors here. These are all produced by BevenB, and this is one of the producers that are producing MKP capacitors also for some speaker manufacturers. So you will be able to see this logo in some speaker crossovers, but they are not very widely known for their quality. So that was one of the things that Gabster mentioned, that he's going to replace all of them. And the small ones here are German Euro capacitors. Let's take a look at them. Yeah, these ones. And one of them got damaged here. It has a scratch on the surface, but it's not deep, so it doesn't affect the working of the capacitor. As I've said, the preamplifier is produced by ZeroZone, and the model number is PRT13A-BAL, like balanced. Okay, what else can we see here? Yeah, the inputs. Let's zoom in. The board inputs are balanced. Let's zoom here. Yes, so you can see that for both channels the inputs are not single-ended, but they are for plus, GND and minus signals, and same goes for outputs. Let's find them. Yeah, here's the first one. We have minus, GND and plus, and there's the second one, minus, GND and plus. So the preamplifier internally is fully balanced, which is a very rare thing. Okay, anything interesting here? Yeah, all of these electrolytes are, let's zoom in. Can you see the brand name on some of them? Yeah, Samyang. Should be able to see it now. Samyang capacitors. So these are, I've seen them a couple of times, but mostly in places like power supplies for PCs. but they are supposed to be reliable. Again, if you'd like to do some upgrades, these would be also on my list to be replaced with something better. Yes, let's rotate that one. This rotating stand is really nice. Okay, so let's take a look at the back. Again, zoom in, and here we have outputs, these two XLR connectors. Here we have single-ended output, and here we have single-ended inputs. As you can see, all of them are controlled by relays, so you're choosing with your remote or with the selector on the front which one will be active, and the relay will activate that one. And relays are controlled and powered by completely separate power board here. Yes, as you can see, outputs from the board are again fully balanced, and here we have a connector to the control board for relays. So as I said, one of the reasons I got this one is because of internal looks. It's basically beautiful. The parts are of high quality, all the wiring is very neat, and it's fully balanced. So that's about the looks. Now let's talk about the sound, because that's the most important thing here, right? Okay, I'll be using my notes from my listening session here. So the bass. The nice thing about the bass is that it's organic and full. It has very rich timbre. It's not lightning fast. It's more on the relaxed side. It's also warm, but this is probably due to the mid bass quantity. A little more than I'm used to, but the mid bass here does not bleed into mid range, which is good. But all in all, the bass is organic and it sounds warm. Now moving on to the mid range. The mid range has that tubey warmth, but some of the S sounds do come on some tracks as harsh. Not everywhere, not all of them, but from time to time you'll see S sounds as harsh. And that's probably the capacitor thing here. I wouldn't blame the tubes for that, because Siemens tubes are known for their quality, and PS Vane Art S series I've been using in other preamplifiers, and as I said, I hold them in high regard. They are very good tubes. So it's probably due to the capacitors here. The sound with harsh S also makes some vocals, especially female vocals, sound a little grainy. It's like they would be pushed a little bit forward, which is not a bad thing, but again, with this additional harshness, it makes listening strange. I mean, some of the tracks you wouldn't really like to hear those as sounds, but for some of them, for most of them actually, it was fine. Now moving on to the treble, and that's probably my highest gripe. Treble lacks some airiness and space. It's good, it's extended, but it's not as open and transparent as with Kerry SLP 90 clone or Accuphase based 2860 plus preamplifier. It's extended, it has some sparkle at the top, but at the same time it's not very open and airy. And being an electrostat guy, because my main speakers are electrostats from Martin Organ, I highly appreciate and love openness and transparency in the treble. Okay, moving on to the detail. The detail. This preamplifier lacks some of the transparency, and this results in covering of some fine detail. But then again, the layering is pretty good. meaning that the sound is not in one flat plane, but you have layers going from front to back, and good layering uncovers some other detail. So all in all, I would say that although I have mixed feelings in this area, I would say that my score would be neutral. I mean, some of the detail is lost, but then again, good layering uncovers some additional detail. So, okay. As I started to tell you about layering, we can move to scene and imaging. Simply this preamplifier nicely expands the scene compared to power amplifier alone, meaning that if you use that in a signal path, you get instant upgrade for layering, for left and right information, depth information, and height information. So that's a big plus. It has good separation, so you'll be able to tell precisely where the instruments are placed. Location is good, but it's not like points in space, which is again good because piano is not a point. Piano is a big solid instrument and you want to hear it being a big solid instrument. So that's also a very good aspect of this preamplifier. Okay, so now moving to the summary. Because I have not a single loose thought in my notes. So the summary is that honestly I'm a little bit disappointed. There's a chance that the cores here are the tubes or capacitors. The tubes meaning that maybe, regardless of the fact that these tubes are very good, maybe the pairing is not exactly the best one. I'll try to change some of the tubes. I have some other 12AU7 in my collection. Maybe it's about capacitors, and I would say that if I would be to guesstimate, I would say that it's 70% on the capacitors and maybe 50% on the tubes. But I may explore a little bit this preamplifier later, replacing the capacitors, replacing the tubes. But as for now, I wouldn't really recommend that one unless you know what you're doing and you want to get one for experiments. Why? Because SLP90 is way better. So unless you're looking specifically for something with XLR inputs and outputs and fully balanced, the carry just sounds better. With these tubes, as I said, it should sound very, very good. But compared to other tube preamps in my collection right now, it's lacking detail and it's lacking airiness on top. And I have to say that I don't really like the mid-range here. It's a little bit pushed forward, and that may be fine, but again, with this forwardness comes the fact that some sounds are harsh, and I don't like that. So I will give another chance to this amplifier after recap, as there's little point in selling this right now, because as I've said, I've paid for it, shipping included, only $278. So that's basically like for the chassis, transformer, and the control, input and outputs control board along with the remote. So that's still a very good price. So I will experiment with it. I will experiment with some tubes, I will experiment with some capacitors here, and I will probably do another video on that. If I'll find the culprit, if I'll find the reason for this harshness, if I'll be able to make it sound better, then expect another video that will supersede this one. Okay, so again, at this moment, honestly, I cannot recommend this preamplifier unless you know exactly what you're doing when you're buying it. If you're willing to experiment, if you're willing to rebuild some of the insights, if you're willing to replace capacitors, experiments with tubes, then go ahead and buy one. But if you're just looking for some good sounding tube preamplifier, look for the Carry SLP90 that I've reviewed earlier. Again, you'll find the store links in the description under the video. No, that was pure accident. I meant this one. You'll also find my test system details in the description of the video. And if this small and shorter than usual review helped you to take a decision about buying or avoiding this preamplifier, you're more than welcome to support my channel by buying me a beer using super thanks on YouTube here. Also, somewhere down below the video. And I think that's it. I really like the build. I really like the quality of the build and the neatness of everything inside. But the most important thing is always the sound quality. And this preamplifier doesn't sound as good as it looks. So yes, here it is. Thank you guys for watching and stay tuned for more videos like that. Bye. I hope you'll have a great, wonderful day ahead of you.